Well, good morning everybody and welcome back to another video. So as you can see at this moment in time, I'm confined to barracks. I had an operation just recently, a small operation to correct a problem that didn't go quite according to plan on an operation that I had earlier in the year. I'm all right, everything's fine. I just need to take it easy for another couple of weeks. I'm not allowed out to carry the camera bag in that time, and hence this is why I'm sat here this morning. But I saw it as a great opportunity to show you the front cover of my new ebook. Now don't worry, it's not about selling my new ebook necessarily. I just wanted to make this little video just to show the processing that went into creating the front cover for the book. Now, for those of you that haven't watched all my videos necessarily, or don't watch them every time they come out, typically the image that formed the front cover was taken as part of a YouTube video. I'm going to put that segment of that video on now so you can see it being taken in the field, and then it gives it a little bit more context for when we get into Lightroom and I do the processing afterwards. So I'll put that on now. Experimentation is definitely key when it comes to shooting smaller scenes. As I've come just through the wood here, the light's coming in from behind and it's just hitting the waxy surfaces of these reeds here, and I just wondered as I walked up to them if I set the exposure for the bright highlights of the reeds or the lines, whether that would make an interesting abstract. It's one of those shots that you've really got no idea how it's going to look until you get the camera up, because you can't pre-visualize what the various depth of fields will have as you move through the apertures. But I'm definitely going to have a look at that. I think it's worth. It's one of those shots that if it works, it'll be really good. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. You've not lost anything. So it certainly caught my eye, it's caught my attention, and that's got to be something worth investigating in my book. So the camera obviously is in position. I've got the 100mm macro lens on, and I've got the case polarizer on, just to sort of take control of those highlights and shadows. And actually when I remove the reflections, just have a quick look at that, I don't like it anywhere near as much. I like the high key contrast of the leaves. And interestingly, there are occasions when I'm taking shots when the wind's blowing, which is making it even more interesting. But it's a very high contrast image with just the stark lines for the effect, and it's actually looking really quite nice. I'm on f22 and I've got a shutter speed of 1.5 seconds at 100 ISO, and I've chosen a composition where the leaves all sort of move in towards the bottom left hand corner of the frame, and I'll just show you that now. So you can see from this angle that I've got really quite a striking composition, and as I've just mentioned, all the grasses are just coming in beautifully to this left hand frame where they disappear into the darkness. Now I'll just show you the polarization effect. You can see that if I change the polarizer and just lift the exposure up a little bit, it loses its mood, whereas when you keep the lines so that the reflective surfaces have got that high contrast, and then just underexpose the image just so you just show those, like I said, those strong diagonal lines through the frame. You see the reeds just moving ever so slightly there as well. And taking a couple of f16 and a couple of f22, just varying the aperture. But I think f16 is probably my sweet spot. But interesting find nonetheless. And it's just a case of keeping your eyes peeled, just looking for shapes and patterns. And if you're in that mindset and you take your time, it's surprising what jumps out at you. So hopefully that has come out as I plan it to, and I'll put that on now. So it's nice to have that bit of context. You've been able to see what it was like on the day in the field, and also what the lighting conditions were like and the weather, etc. So before I go into Lightroom, I just want to quickly show you the image that I arrived at, and I'll show you this now in Photoshop. So clearly this is slightly different to what I shown on the back of the LCD. I did take a number of shots on the day, and this one proved to be my favourite. Now clearly this hasn't got the title that the front cover of the ebook's got, but I'll show you that in just a few minutes. So I'm going to pop into Lightroom now and show you a couple of raw files first of all, and then go into the processing. Now I wanted to show you this image first of all. Now this was one that's pretty close to what you saw out in the field when I was shooting on the video just now. Now one of the things that I talk about in my ebook is the distribution of objects within the frame when you're shooting a pattern picture like this. Now it's always useful to take a good number of images at different sizes from the subject to the camera, so you can get the different size relationships between the object and the frame size. Now I find there's a critical point, and I refer to it as the Goldilocks rule. It's nothing new. The Goldilocks rule has been around for a while, and it basically means nothing too big, nothing too small, and just about right. And that relates to patterns in photographs. Now as you can see here on this shot, I talked about this at length, and one of the things that I liked about this image on the day was the fact that you've got all the grasses coming from the top right to the bottom left hand corner, and they create this sort of diagonal feel through the frame, and I felt at the time that this takes your eye through the scene. Now on reflection, this is a pattern picture, and it's not necessarily that important to be able to be taken on a visual journey. Sometimes you just appreciate the patterns in themselves, and that's really what I wanted to arrive at with this shot. And it was only when I saw these grasses coming in from the top angle that it drew me to that as a feature. Naturally, because I take a number of images, a number of variations on the theme, I did have other options to fall back on, which is what I actually ended up doing on the day. Now for me, in terms of the Goldilocks rule, I feel that there are too many grasses in this composition. It's too busy, too cluttered, and I wanted something much more simplified, which is what I ended up with as part of the cover on my ebook. So I'm going to go to the raw file that I started off with. I started processing as part of that. Now you can see that I've not got that diagonal through the frame, and in this instance all the leaves seem to be coming towards the viewer, and I really like that. It sort of draws you in to the middle of the frame and makes you look deeper into the shadows. So very happy with this, and there's not a lot needs doing to it at all. Of course, on the day I recognised that the light was coming at quite an angle, and it was shining on the surface of the leaves. Now the leaves in this instance are quite waxy, and they very easily burn out. So what I was careful to do was get the exposure right for the highlighted portions of the blades of the reeds, and that has created this lovely dark moody feel to the image. And what I've done since then, I mean, I'm pretty happy with it as it is, I have to say, but to me the shadows look a little bit milky. Now ordinarily with my blacks, I would hold my Alt key down and I would take the slider of the blacks up until I've got detail in all the shadows, what is represented by those colours disappearing. But that just makes matters worse, and the extreme of that was if I go to the full right, you can see that all the grasses that have melted into the darkness ordinarily are then revealed, and it's basically like overexposing the shot. You're just showing more of it. So what I wanted to do on this occasion, I'll just reset that, was actually take it down a notch, and by doing that I'm getting rid of some more of the leaves themselves, so it's simplifying the scene even more. And you can see now that we've got a definite even distribution between the blades of the reeds and the deep shadows as well, but we've still got that nice feeling of them all coming towards you, which I really like. And there's really not a lot else to do, I have to say, with that. What I think I did on the time for my final image, I went to the colour mixer and I think I did play around with the luminance of the greens just to bring them up just ever so slightly. You can see there that it's just giving them a little bit more of a glow. And that was it. I think from this point on I can do the rest in Lightroom, but I'm going to do it in Photoshop, and that's basically getting rid of any distractions and also putting a nice little vignette just to keep you drawing in that little bit more, bringing you into the scene. Now I find with Lightroom, I find the clone tool is not as good as it is in Photoshop, so I'm going to go into Photoshop now and just show you what I did. So now we've got the image in Photoshop, I'm just going to create a copy of the layer by pressing Command J, and then I'm going to go and use a remove tool just to remove the highlights that are within the frame, just picking out my eye and just causing those little distractions. So I'm going to go to 100%, and I'm going to move it around the frame, and I'm going to go to this bottom area first. And like I say, the tool that I've selected is just the basic remove tool, and I'm just going to paint over those there and just let those disappear as if by magic almost. And just get rid of those, just a little one there, and you can see there's just a couple there in the background. And I'm just going to hold the spacebar down. I'm just going to move around to see if there's anything else that bothers me. There's a little one there. These are quite tiny, but trust me, when you get images up on print, if you decide to print them at any point, these really do shout out at you. Is there any more? Just move around quickly, move around the frame, and just do a central sweep. Can't see any more, so I'm going to just go back to fit screen. I'm not so keen on the brown tip, and there's a couple of dead ends that I like to remove, and this is where generative fill has become a real interesting part of workflow. Now this isn't really changing anything too dramatically, but you can just pick these out and press the generative fill button and just click generate there, and then let it do its magic just to get rid of these dead ends. And you see that it's just made a little nice pointed tip, and you can cycle through the different variations just to neaten those up. And there's another one there that I'd like to get rid of. I can't even remember if I've done this on the actual finished article, but I'll just do it here just to show you how effective it can be. Yeah, that's dealt with that one really nicely. I probably prefer number 2, so I'll leave it at number 2. I've just noticed that there is another little spot there on that leaf that I would like to get rid of. So just get rid of that there. And that for the most part is alright. There's just another one there, look. Needs to go. Let's have a look what that looks like. Fit screen. I don't think that is a million miles away, if I'm honest. So there is just one thing left to do now, and that's I want to create a vignette around the whole image just to draw you into that central section. And to do that, I go to Filter and Camera Raw Filter. Select the mask, and I want to select a radial gradient, and then draw that over the entire scene. You can see it's being applied into the center of the frame there, so I want to change that so it's only being applied to the outer portion. So I click this little invert section here, invert the mask, and you can see that I'm only affecting the outer portions. Now the feather there I think is a little bit too strong, so I'm going to leave it round about there, and then as soon as I hit the exposure slider and bring that down, it gets rid of the mask, and you can see there that we've now got a lovely feather of the edges just into that central portion. And there we have the final image. Let's put that on full screen, and that's pretty much what I've been left with as my cover for my new ebook. So I'm just going to quickly go into that ebook. So of course this is the front cover with the title over the top, The Intimate Landscape. I think it looks beautiful as a front cover. I think it really works well, and of course the little leaf down here that I just talked about has got that tip removed, so I obviously felt that it was catching my eye, and I did get rid of it in the end. So I think you'll find that what I've worked on here is pretty much exactly as you see on the cover of the book. So I've got the book open, so I'll just quickly show you the contents page, which covers virtually everything that I talk about in my videos, but it's all consolidated in just one place. What I've tried to do in the book as much as possible is give lovely inspiring photographs every few pages, every couple of pages, that go along with the text, just to create that extra inspiration. There's over 10,000 words of text in the book, and it covers just about everything to do with the intimate landscape. Now, if you would like a copy of the book, it's available on my website at www.simonboothphotography.com, and I'll also put a link in the description below. Please consider buying that. It really does help the channel out, and when you consider that all the content on YouTube is pretty much available for free, it really does help me out, and you can buy that for just £20. And like I say, it's available on my website and a link in the description below. So I'm going to leave it there and say thank you all so much for watching today. I will hopefully see you next time out and about. So until then, bye for now.